Greetings, agents. This is Private Boulders, the mediocre gamer, and this is the Division 2. Today we are talking about some pretty exciting news in that the details for Year 6 Season 3 have just dropped in the dev livestream that took place while most of Australia was sleeping anyway. That's one of the disadvantages, I guess, of living in the middle of the Pacific on the other side of the world to everyone. All the exciting stuff happens when we're asleep. Anyway, you get that? These things happen. I could move, but that's a topic for another time. Yes, so Year 6, Season 3. Before we get into those details, though, just a couple of things that I wanted to highlight that the devs mentioned. The first one is in relation to the DLC, which is entitled Battle for Brooklyn. They did say that that will release this calendar year, so it will get a 2025 release date. It has not been cancelled, and they are not changing any of it. They did stress that they are merely polishing some of the details of the game, and that is why it has been delayed. For me, I think that's a good decision. I would rather them release a good version of the DLC rather than a half-finished, buggy version. So I'm grateful that they are taking a little bit more time with it and that they're not rushing a release. So that for me anyway is a positive. The other thing that they mentioned that I thought was really good was that they are increasing the size of our stash. So that's great. So it's going from 300 slots up to 400 slots. So obviously you don't need to be a genius at math to work out that that is an additional 100 slots in our stash, which is great news, I think. There are a couple of caveats to that. So to get these additional 100 slots, you first of all need to be an owner of Warlords of New York. So that will give you 50 slots. And then you also need to have a Year 1 Season Pass, which is another 50 slots. So if you have both of those, if you meet both of those requirements, then you will get that additional 100 slots. So I think that's really good. It allows us to, hoard a bit more stuff. Lean into that hoarder trait if you have that. So that's pretty good. They were the two main things that I wanted to highlight there. But if we have a look now at the Year 6 Season 3 PTS patch notes. So Season 3 is going to be called The Burden of Truth, and that will go live on the 25th of February this year. It does have a bit of a skill theme to it from just kind of looking at it. So just quickly, the PTS launches Friday, the 31st of January at those times. And they're not doing 2 phases this time. Last time they actually did 2 phases. This time they're just doing 1 phase, but it will be a longer phase. So from Friday through to Wednesday. So gives you a bit of an opportunity to get in and play with the new gear. So that's pretty good. Won't spend too much time on the modifiers, but it does seem to be focused around this momentum stacks or momentum, whatever you want to call that. So it does reward a more of an aggressive play style, kind of a run and gun type thing. So, the more stacks that you accumulate via, enemy kills, the more bonuses that unlocks. So I think in the video, Yannick was showing that his movement speed was increased and his rate of fire was increased on his weapon. And I think reload speed were some of the ones that he highlighted. So that's the global modifiers. Active modifiers, we've got 3 there. You can have a look at. Passive modifiers, there are 12, and these certainly do seem to be skill specific. So yeah, the overall theme of this season does seem to be skills or skill based, which is really good. I don't mind playing a skill build every now and then. And I do believe that skills are something that have been suffering of late. I don't think that the devs have really paid much attention to skills in a while, and they kind of get left behind by DPS builds and so forth. So it's good that the devs are having a look at skills and paying some attention to them. So there's 12 passive modifiers there that you can unlock. And there's only one hostile modifier, which is Frenzy, which is pretty good. And that actually scales as you progress through the season. So the difficulty or I guess the intensity of this hostile countermeasure increases as you unlock more things as you progress through the season. So that's pretty good. A couple of things they did mention was that uh, you get a season XP buff for equipping modifiers, so that's pretty good. Equip some modifiers, get your seasonal XP buff, so you can move through the season rewards quicker. And modifiers will now unlock during the seasonal journey, not from priority objectives. So I think that's a good change as well. I think the devs listened to some feedback there. Also, seasonal XP is awarded for completing journey activities and as well as open world activities. So I think that's a really good change as well. That's probably some feedback that they've listened to as well. So if you're doing open world activities like control points and um, hostage rescues um, and so forth, you will also get seasonal XP for that as well. So that's pretty good. We still do have journey missions. I believe there's still 7 tiers. However, journey mission tiers 1 and 2 are now optional. So you can actually start at journey number 3 if you like. So the first two journey tiers are kind of targeted at newer players. They just kind of have basic stuff. So more seasoned players might want to skip those and go right to journey 3, which also is pretty good. Manhunts will continue. This time they're focused on Kelso, so they'll be weekly. They'll still have those ciphers to solve, and that'll just be various activities, generally open world and missions and so forth. So let's have a look at the gears. Let's have a look at the gear, weapons, and talents that they're introducing into the season. So the first one is a new exotic weapon by the name of Ox Pecker. I don't know who came up with that name, but okay. So that's an exotic SMG with the talent Symbiosis. While having a shield deployed, lose shield health at a rate of 10% per second. That's interesting. And your shield receives repairs of 25% of the damage dealt by this weapon. Okay, so your shield receives repairs of 20%, 25% of the damage dealt by your weapon. Okay, all right, that's interesting. Weapon mods are plus 15% headshot damage, plus 50% optimal range, and plus 15% crit chance. All right, Yannick did show that in the dev video, the stream. It's an interesting looking weapon, and the effect of it of firing looks interesting as well. So be interesting to see how that goes in gameplay. We have some new exotic gloves, Exodus talent. So gloves with a talent, which is interesting in itself. Smokescreen, PvE on armor break. Drop a smoke bomb at your feet, concealing you from enemies for 3 seconds with a 40-second cooldown. PvP on armor break. Drop a smoke bomb at your feet. You get 100% pulse resist and hide your nameplate for 2 seconds. Cooldown 40 seconds. Okay, interesting. See how that goes. I'm not sure about the effect duration and cooldown. That could Cooldown seems too long. Effect duration seems a little bit too short. But anyway, see how we go. Birdie's Quick Fix Exotic Backpack with the talent Combat Medic. So it's a plus 50% revive speed, which is pretty cool. Minus 50% weakened debuff time, also cool. Provides 50% damage resistance to both agents while reviving or being revived, and for 5 seconds after a successful revive. Successful revive provides +1 skill tier for 30 seconds, revives at skill tier 6 grant overcharge for 15 seconds. That sounds interesting. Okay, that really sounds interesting. It doesn't actually say there if the overcharge has a cooldown, so that would be good if there was no cooldown, but maybe they've just left that off. But yeah, Combat Medic sounds like a good. That sounds like a good talent. On paper, it sounds good. In the real world, we will have to wait and see, but I do like that. All right, we have a new brand set, Shiny Monkey Gear. I don't know who's coming up with these names, but they're not boring. 1 piece, plus 15% skill duration. 2 pieces, plus 5% skill efficiency. 3 pieces, plus 52% repair skills. Okay. Right, well, the first thing that comes to mind with that is 3 pieces of Empress, 2 pieces of this, which will give us 13% skill efficiency, and maybe paired with the Memento backpack at full stacks. That could be quite good. Name backpack Axel, talent perfect energize. Using an armor kit grants +1 skill tier for 15 seconds. If already at skill tier 6, grants overcharge, cooldown 30 seconds. I believe that the regular energize, the cooldown is 60 seconds, so that's pretty good. And then we have some named knee pads called Grease with a perfect attribute, plus 16% status effects. Okay, so that beats Electric. Equipping 1 piece of that beats Electric. I think Electric's like, is it 10 or 10% status effects? So if you're running like Fire Eclipse build or a Foam build, then that will probably slot in there in place of Electric. So interesting. Okay, interesting. New gear set, Refactor. 2 pieces plus 15% status effects, 3 plus 25% skill damage, 4 pieces unlock a new talent, return to sender, receive repairs of 10% of the damage dealt by your skills. Your allies will receive repairs of 20% of the damage dealt by your skills. That sounds pretty good. Chest and backpack talents. Chest bonus, increased interest. Increase the repairs received from return to sender from 10 to 25 for yourself, and then allies from 20 to 35%. That sounds that sounds like a chest bonus that sounds like it would work really well. Backpack over-engineered. While at full armor, repairs received from return to sender will provide bonus armor up to 40% of your total armor. Does not apply to allies. Okay. All right. Maybe not the backpack, but the chest certainly sounds interesting. So liking these on paper. All right, new named weapons. Rusty Classic RPK74, Talent Perfect Pressure Point. Amplifies weapon damage by 15% to enemies under a status effect. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Goalie, FAL, also has perfect pressure point. And then the regular version is 10% amp damage to status effect. Okay. Sounds good. Balance. Reworks and updates. Exotic weapons. Looks like, I mean, I don't know all the exotic weapons off by heart, but it looks like most of them are getting a reload buff. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, reload buff. And so are ARs. All the ARs are getting a reload buff. They did mention that they are nerfing the Lexington. I think it's about a 1.1% damage nerf. Um, I, you know, I'm pretty confident that it will still be at number one um, for burst anyway. I'd say, but I could kind of see that happening. 1% is not too bad. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. What else have we got? SMGs. Okay, all the SMGs are also getting a reload speed buff. Interesting. Okay. And so are the LMGs. Okay, so pretty much everything is getting a reload buff. Rifles are as well, and some damage. Lightweight M4 is getting quite a good damage buff there. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, but no reload buff. Okay. Okay. Pistols, same with pistols. There you go. Quality of life changes. Modifiers have been removed from prior objectives. Yep, mentioned that. Okay. I think I've mentioned a few of these. PTS only. Okay, Adam Shipley's inventory has been updated with new PTS cases and redundant items have been removed to reduce clutter. Everything needed can now be obtained from those 3 PTS caches. So basically, if you're going to participate in the PTS, it's available for preload now, so start downloading it when it opens. Log in, go and see this Adam Shipley guy. I'm sorry, I don't know where he is. I presume he's at the base of operations. Grab these caches, all the Season 3 gear will be in them, and then you can start playing with them. A couple of known issues there. Symbiosis talent persists if the player equips a throwable while having a shield deployed. Okay. Shiny monkey and refactor materials are not shared between characters, and placeholder images are present in the craft. Okay, righto. Well, there you have it. I'm excited. I like some of these skill-based initiatives that they have introduced. They've also introduced some common sense changes to Season 3. It's looking good. Um, yeah, as I said, if you're going to participate in the PTS, please try to have a go um, and leave feedback. I think that's the most important part. Try these new gear, um, see what stands out, see what doesn't work, or even see if something's OP. Leave feedback for the devs so that they can make the necessary adjustments so that it can be balanced properly. But there we go. What are your thoughts, agents? Leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. I will also leave a link to these patch notes in the description for you to peruse at your leisure. But I'm looking forward to February 25th. Looks exciting. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Stay safe out there, agents. Take care.